Hello and welcome to Talk About Drama, where we talk about what's hot and what's not in the drama world. And today we're going to talk about When Destiny Brings the Demon, Shinyu, or Offering Salted Fish to Master, which has recently just finished airing. And I've really missed doing this intro. So I finally caught up with the C-dramas that I've been putting off for a long time, and boy am I disappointed. It was, I don't know, I was expecting something else, I guess, because I read the novel up until the point where Sima Zhao dies and, he is reincarnated as a human prince and, Liao Tingyan meets him. And I stopped because the official drama announcement was put out that, we're broadcasting on this day. So I thought, why not just follow the drama as it goes, since I didn't want to shadow my drama experience, which clearly it happened, but I didn't want it to happen even more. So I stopped reading it and disappointed because the trailers promised you something else, and the drama itself, it's just, what were they thinking? Really, what were they thinking? Okay, so before I start ranting about it, I want to clear something out. I'm not anti-drama changes, so I understand that, if you're adapting something from novel to screen, changes need to be made, because a lot of things are good when you're reading it, but when you adapt it for screen, it doesn't translate very well. So as a screenwriter, as a script writer, you have to adapt it to the best version possible so that you don't lose the essence of the story. You keep it, but you also make sure that, your audiences, the people who've already read the original material and the people who are tuning in for the first time, they don't feel like they've lost out on something. They get what you're trying to tell. But with whatever changes you've made, they also get a good time following the story, even though it doesn't faithfully follow the original material. It's still a good adaptation. And I think in the recent years, Back from the Brink is a good example. So it's Love Between the Fairy and Devil. And they've been adapted very well for screen. I read the novels after watching Back from the Brink, and I read the novel before watching Love Between the Fairy and Devil. And I can say that, they've definitely improved upon the original material, and they've definitely made changes that reflect positively on the drama. But over here, I can't really say the same thing for Shinyu, because you change their personalities. Sima Zhao is not Sima Zhao. He's basically a watered-down version of what he was in the novel. And Liao Tingyan, she's no longer this person who's a salted fish and starts off with having no stakes in this world. She's no longer that bystander. By giving her this responsibility of having a friend in ruling and having her protect her, and having her stand by her, and then having her plead for other people. Did you even read the novel? Because clearly Liao Tingyan, the only thing that she was concerned about was that I don't have to kill and I don't have to get killed. It was a perfect combination. And obviously with Shinsha dramas, you have different things, you have the Lingfus, you have the Nedans, and you have these things that are built into the story. But what made Shinyu stand out was the main leads. The male lead was a guy who was not shy of killing people. He was all about, I need to kill people, I need to get revenge. And the female lead, for once, was all about, as long as I don't have to get my hands dirty, I don't care. And because for her, this was a novel world. She had no stakes in it. She didn't care about anybody. And that was the mindset that she had kept up until the point where she got her memory erased and she basically restarted without Sima Zhao. And then she formed friendships in this world. Before that, she was basically a lone wolf. And her only form of companionship, the only form of, interpersonal relationship was Sima Zhao. Even the snake, if I remember correctly, he took a human form very late in the story. And even then, he was basically a child. So Fangzhou thing didn't happen in the novel, but they changed the whole thing. Honglu, she got introduced so early on as ruling, and why? Why would you do that? I get it, you've already paid the actor and you want her to be there on screen because the novel is more female centric, because it's been told from Liao Tingyan's perspective. Honestly, the novel itself, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, it's not. But the thing is, the author of the story treated it as something that's been written for shits and giggles. So when the creator, the original person who actually created this world, didn't take it that seriously, but the people adapting it took it too seriously, I guess. Because why am I seeing all of these tropes being played out one after the other when they have absolutely no relation to the novel? Why is everything so serious? Why am I seeing all of these dog blood plots being played out? Like, am I watching a microdrama, a vertical drama? Because the charm of the novel was no miscommunication and no action from the female lead. Like, she was passive in her own story. And it's very rare because a lot of times the female leads that possess other people in these stories, they run at full speed towards their deaths. Like, I'm not being sarcastic, it's the reality. Now, they do too much, and at the end of the day, they just push themselves deeper into the hole. And the beauty of Xian Yu was that Liao Tingyan absolutely did nothing. Like, she went with the flow the entire time. Like, she was having drinks with a snake, for God's sakes. What more do you want? And over here, it's basically like she's pleading for people, and somehow they end up becoming these messiahs who save the world and establish peace between the good and the demon race. And I'm like, what am I exactly watching here? Like, why am I watching this? This is a plot from like 10,000 other Xianxia dramas that is absolutely like... And if that's not enough, tacked onto that, we have the whole frozen fish storyline. Why? Did you not get the joke about her being a Xian Yu? A salted fish does not mean you actually make her a fish. But you did. They literally made her a frozen fish that attained human form. And she was basically bred as an assassin, specifically to kill Sima Zhao. And that whole thing, it opened a new can of worms, which led down to this Feng Qi storyline, which pissed me off so bad. Because why am I watching this? Why is this third party even here in the first place? Like, did you owe his company money? And then you powered up Qi Qinliu. Like, why? Why are my leads going through so many trials when basically Sima Zhao was this overpowered giant who knew he was on borrowed time? So he decided to take his enemies down with him. So from the beginning, Sima Zhao knew that, one day he would perish. And with the way he's using his powers, it would be earlier rather than later. So he did that knowingly because he wanted to take down all of the people that harmed the Sima clan, that harmed his parents, and basically pushed him into this position. He wanted to take all of them down, and he wanted to make sure that, it doesn't repeat. And then this constant abuse of the Fengxian bloodline, the use of the Sima Zhao's ancestors, like none of it goes to waste and everything's erased off of this planet so that people can't take advantage of it anymore. And he knew that, and he went in knowingly. And the only reason why he stopped, the only reason why he mellowed down a little was because now he had a +1 with him and he had to take care of this person. So he took his time, but he still went on killing people. He didn't stop with his revenge plan. It's just he had to take one more person into consideration. And that was the beauty of it. But over here, we're seeing that, Sima Zhao's time on this earth, which is already very limited, being even more shortened thanks to his girlfriend who's lost all of her memories and is now feeling stabby all of a sudden. Like, why? What was the whole point of it? Why did you have to push Liao Tingyan to become a murderer? And why did you have to put all of that on her conscience when it never happened? Like, post-amnesia, Liao Tingyan never tried to stab Sima Zhao at all. Her reaction was mostly like, oh my god, this is my ex-boyfriend and I have been delivered to his doorstep. Now what do I do? And she didn't feel anything for Qi Qianliu beyond a little bit of guilt, and that's it. That was all that she felt for that guy. And mostly she felt bad for the original Xian, like the person that she was told she was. Because she's like, if she's been growing up in this family, no wonder, she's had a bad upbringing. And then she made all of these dog blood dramas in her head that, Sima Zhao and Liao Tingyan, they belong to the enemy factions, and Sima Zhao wanted to kill her parents, and Xian was like, no, don't harm my family. And, he tried to attack them, and Xian blocked the blow. And she made up this whole play in her mind. And mind you, Sima Zhao can read her mind. And he was basically looking at her so weirdly. And then he's like, what are you thinking? Because his expression was, there she goes again. And that was so funny. Like, that is the level of IDGF we're talking about. And at no point did the drama take advantage of it, because what you have to do is you could have had them play out the storyline while she's imagining it. Like, show it to us rather than having a yap about it. Because what you're doing is you're showing Liao Tingyan have these monologues in her head while she's literally just staring at people. And they're not like short monologues. They're long monologues. and they work in the novel, but they don't work when you're actually watching it, because it's just awkward silence. Because we can hear what she's saying, but the other person can't. And it doesn't always happen with Sima Zhao, it happens with other people as well. And that was so awkward. Like, why are you even doing this? If you are getting rid of all of these things, just get rid of the monologues as well. Why not? But they don't. And they don't make use of it properly. And it's really just there, I guess, because it doesn't have any impact on the storyline as a whole. Not to mention, the original Liao Tingyan was like very laid back, whereas the drama girl is just a caricature at this point. Because what is up with her? She's supposed to be a 21st century girl, and yet she's acting like she's 5 years old, especially in the beginning when she's been chosen and you know, she's in this death contest, and she's over exaggerating everything so much. I'm just like, why do you want to get singled out over here? And then the whole sweeping thing, like, she has a duster in her hand and she's cleaning up the office, and that is when I realized that, you know, the trailers were really misleading. Is what we were shown was what was in the novel, and so they specifically took out those things and they showed them in the trailer, and then in the drama itself it's just like sprinkled. It's almost like a seasoning, and it's not the main point of the whole thing. The main point is making Liao Tingyan a caricature and just a copy paste of all of the other Xianxia dramas you've seen, and not actually adapting the storyline that was there in the novel and just like doing whatever you want. Because apart from watering down Sima Zhao to the point where he's basically like not really that useful, because every time he tries to do something he gets a backlash and the bad people get away anyway, so what's the point? You even have the feelings that Sima Zhao has for Liao Tingyan not really something that, you know, he felt gradually as he spent time with her, but more of a manufactured force thing with the whole cooling thing that, you know, she's the only one in the world that's supposed to cool him down. Because why can't we have people gradually developing feelings for each other? Because, you know, Sima Zhao, in the novel, he felt peace with her because she was the only one who didn't try to kill him. And that feeling of peace, that feeling of quietness, it came on gradually. And he himself was surprised at one point, like, why am I only able to sleep when I'm beside her? Why don't I feel anything bad? Why don't I get headaches? Why do I feel refreshed after waking up when she's sleeping beside me? And that is one of the reasons why, you know, it became the routine, and it went to a point where when Liao Tingyan would wake up in the middle of the night and see him sleeping beside her, she would just take the blanket, cover him up, and then go back to sleep, because she's like, oh, you must be freezing. And that really baffled him, because why is this person not trying to kill me? Because he's not used to it. And they took that away because Liao Tingyan is not supposed to cool him down. So, you know, she's the special one for him, because obviously we can't have feelings developing for each other in a gradual way. Like, this was one of the reasons why I really like Back from the Brink. And that is something that Yu built up in the novel. These two people, over time, they build a rapport with each other, to the point where Sima Zhao tells her to leave him be. He can't sustain his body, and he's like, you run away and I would die here. And she's like, no, I'll take you with me. And she takes the snake and she's like, snake, take us away from here, because I don't want to die alone. I'll die with you if I have to. And this happens after the auto storyline. And she basically whisks him away, and they happen to find the Taoist priest and, you know, save his life basically. And that was like a gradual thing that they built up to, rather than having it just because, you know, she cools him down and that makes her interesting to him. Although I do admit, Otter Liao Tingyan was so cute. Like, it was so beautifully done, because you can actually see her expressions. And I had a blast watching those scenes. But what was this girl doing when she was supposed to be in hiding, going out in a market with your friend and basically telling her everything, even though she's very fishy? But, you know, she trusts her because, you know, Liao Tingyan trusts ruling, because, you know, she saved her life and whatnot, even though she's a very shady character. And this is supposed to be a grown-up woman who works in a corporate setting, from what I can see. So she's supposed to be aware of office politics, and yet she behaves like, you know, everything's black and white. And she tells Ruling everything. And Ruling's little sister just follows them around and eventually gets killed off. And what was the whole point of her sister being there in the first place? I don't know. But apparently she was very much useful for Ruling to realize that, you know, she needs to use the Black Snake and get to Sima Zhao, even though she obviously ends up saving Liao Tingyan and, you know, establish herself as Honglu in the demon realm. Anyways, I'm digressing. So my point was that, why are you out in the open and not sitting at your house as an otter when you're being hunted? Like, was that not the whole point? Like, they went so far as to make everyone believe that this person has died, like she's dead. And then Liao Tingyan is out shopping and enjoying her time, and like it's nothing. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? Are you serious? Are you genuinely serious? Because what was the point of it? Show ruling and his sister bickering, get the son killed? Because that wasn't even... That was something that pissed me off even more, because Liao Tingyan's first kill was a very random thing that happened in the novel, and it took you by surprise, because it doesn't start with Liao Tingyan killing, so you don't actually read that happening. What you see is the aftermath of it, which is very fitting for the novel, because a lot of actions happen behind the scenes, and what you're seeing is the consequence of it, and it hits you harder, because you see this person who's very adamant about not killing, to the point where she's like, you kill me, but I would not kill. And then Sima Zhao forces her to do it on this very random person, because he's tired of her for not standing up for herself. Just a few days ago, she was being bullied, and to the point where, you know, she suffered very heavy wounds. And Sima Zhao just had enough, and he's like, no, well, you won't kill, well, I'll force you to kill, because once you start killing, maybe you get a taste of it and you'll be better at protecting yourself while I'm out there trying to get revenge of my enemies. And Liao Tingyan completely breaks down, and it hits you hard because it's a very random occurring. You don't expect it, and out of the blue, you're suddenly faced with the consequences of your actions. Because if you live in a 21st century setting, you abide by laws, you don't kill people, and you don't get blood on your hands. And she's very happy seeing Sima Zhao kill people, but she's not happy doing it herself, because even though she's a bystander, she really does not want to get involved in this world. And killing somebody is having to see a mortal die by your hands, facing that mortality. It makes things even more real, and it breaks the illusion that, you know, she's inside a novel and this is actually happening all around of her. Because being threatened to get killed and actually having to kill or get killed is two different things. And that illusion, that barrier gets shattered the moment she kills somebody. And Sima Zhao from the novel is more bothered that Liao Ting is not eating. And that thing irritates him and it frustrates him, and to the point where he goes out of his way to try and get her to cheer up, because, you know, Sima Zhao, he could be best described as a teenage boy who didn't really go through puberty but gained immense powers, and he's not really responsible with them most of the time. But he exhausted all of his care for this one person, and now she is, from his point of view, being ungrateful to him because, you know, he taught her a very important life lesson, and she's not appreciating him for it. Rather, she is shunning him for it. And Liao Tingyan not eating anything is the worst thing that's ever happened to him. So when he comes back home and finds out Liao Tingyan is not there, he assumes the worst, that, you know, she's gone, she's left him without a word. And it doesn't fill him with sadness, it fills him with anger, because to him, like, I've cared for this person so much, and I've tried to be understanding, I've tried to be nice to that person, even though I'm not really this person with anybody else, and she's still left me. And he's filled with rage, and he goes out to find her, you know, that, you know, I'll bring her back, I'll kill her and whatever. But the moment he sees her, you know, fishing in a pond, being all dejected because she does not know what to do anymore, and she's really listless, but, you know, she caught these worms from the Thunder Valley, which I was really annoyed about, because, you know, Liao Tingyan catching these worms very nonchalantly just to catch fish in the future. Like, this lady was thinking ahead because she loves food, and she knows that, you know, to catch a fish you need bait, and she saw these worms, she's like, oh, perfect bait. I was so funny because, you know, even when she was supposed to go through these thunder trials on her own, mind you, because Sima Zhao was outside, and it was a really scary thing. The thing on her mind was like, I'm going to go to this pond and catch these beautiful fish that taste really nice with these baits that I've collected. That was her mindset. And she catches these fish, and, you know, she is mumbling about how she wanted to catch them for Sima Zhao and basically make this wonderful fish stew or whatever for him, because he doesn't really eat anything. And for Sima Zhao, to kill is easy, to eat is very hard. And Sima Zhao, when he sees her, the first thing on his mind, the anger drains away completely. And he sits and he starts eating without any persuasion, without anything. Because that's what he's been reduced to. He cares for this one person, and he's ready to do something that he never really does. He hates eating. He doesn't like the food because, you know, he's had really bad experiences with it in the past. And it's made him wary about it. But just so Liao Tingyan would regain her spark, as a way of apology to her, he's ready to eat her food without any kind of persuasion and without any complaints. And that was so beautiful, because you're seeing the consequences of his actions. But to have her kill Shi Qianliu's son, and the whole thing was like so non-satisfactory. Because if I remember in the novel, Shi Qianliu's son is very much alive and well, and he doesn't really have that big of a role, because I don't really remember him from the novel. And at first I thought, he must have been a new character created for the show. But then I remember that, when Liao Tingyan has her memories erased and, she's an assassin for the demon realm as Xian, she does have this like older brother who's Shi Qianliu's son, and he's very nice to her. He gives her pocket money and all of that, even though Shi Qianliu himself is like very stingy and not really affectionate with her. And I realized that he's very much alive and well, but he's just not that big of a character, whereas over here he's very much of a character. And there's this whole spy thing happening within the sects, which I don't really care about, and I didn't really understand the meaning of it, because if you have so much money, instead of employing more actors, why not spend it on CG? Or maybe script writers to maybe better your script, instead of just like stuffing every character under the sun and making up storylines that have absolutely no impact on the main roles. Because Shi Qianliu's son would have gotten killed himself anyways if he was hunting Liao Tingyan, because Sima Zhao was pissed off at that point. And this guy, his girlfriend, was killed by his own father, and he just died. And Shi Qianliu is like, oh my god, you killed my son. Well, what was the whole point of his girlfriend being killed by his father, and then and then him dying in denial, and then not coming back for revenge? Like, I really thought that they were going to resurrect his son, and then the son was going to come back for revenge, but it never really happened. They almost forgot about it, and I was like, I'm sorry, what was the whole point of it? Similar to after Sima Zhao is reborn as a human prince, and there's this whole court politics thing, and I'm like, again, what's the whole point of it? Are you trying to build a world here in like 4 episodes and then watch it implode? Because we know it's going to implode, and the whole arc starts at like episode 29, 30. And the series ended at episode 33. So in like 4 or 5 episodes, you're going to build this world, show us the politics, and then have it all implode, and then nobody really cares about it, because they're obviously going to go back to the real world, and it's obviously like very much a modern setting where these people are just in a coma and imagining these things, which we've already seen in like Love Game in Eastern Fantasy, Story of Cunning Palace, or even Romance of Tiger and Rose. And I hope that at least they would give us a good ending where we can actually see these people meet. Like Love Game in Eastern Fantasy, I am looking at you, like we had those scenes and you didn't put it, and I'm still salty about it. And anyways, that is like, the ending is still satisfactory, but like, what was the point of building a whole world for like 4 or 5 episodes and then imploding it and not really caring about it? Because I don't really care. The prime minister or whatever this person is wants to put himself on the throne. He has this daughter who's really jealous. When we have these scenes of like Sima Zhao and Liao Tingyan being petty with each other, being jealous over each other, and I'm wasting time watching these court politics, when maybe you could have developed more on Liao Tingyan and Sima Zhao meeting up in the real world and meeting the other characters like Ru Ling and Nyanzhou. Like, these people, they exist in real world as well, because there may be a co-workers, there may be a part of a company, and she's subconsciously modeled these people out of the people she's met in her life. But then Sima Zhao is somebody that she's never met, but she knows his face, and that's like a shocking thing for her. But they just didn't do anything at all, and people just kept dying left, right and center. And nobody really impacted anything on the storyline itself, because before you could feel anything with that person, they're already dead. And it's more of an afterthought, like, oh shit, they died. And 2 episodes later, everyone's just moved on. Why are you including so many people in the story when they don't have any impact on the whole thing? Like Chinga, they saved Chinga's daughter, and she ended up being such a big headache for our leads. Like this girl, Bian, she ended up being a vessel for Yo Yan. And is she somebody that you're trying to promote? Is she an actress from an upcoming production company? Is she somebody that has Yoku? I think it is in Yoku, right? That has Yoku's resources. Like, why is she popping up so much, and why is she so relevant to the story? The moment she stepped forward and be like, please remove my seal, I'm going to help Sima Zhao survive this. And genuinely the first thought that I had was, well, here goes nothing. Because obviously she's going to get possessed. And the moment she stepped out into the courtyard of that very house, literally a minute later, she's possessed. And you're in the demon realm, right? This person is supposedly the Grand Master. You have so many demon generals under you. Can you not have somebody guarding this girl? Even Nyanzhou or Ru Ling or Hong Lu, as she goes by, and in the later of the drama, either anybody could have been guarding this person, but she's just left alone, wandering into the courtyard, and literally the moment she steps out, she's possessed. And now this person is now Yo Yen's vessel, and he uses her for doing all the bad things and basically the consequences of their actions, because they saved this girl and she ended up facing a very bad ending where her father killed himself and tried to kill her with him, like a murder-suicide. She survived. Her mother died very early on, and she was basically used as a vessel by this very bad person in order to overpower the world. But she ended up dying anyways. And what was the whole point of it? To show how sad and how unforgiving having the function bloodline is in this world. It's just so annoying and so frustrating. And that's not even the worst part, because the worst part, I think, in the whole drama, the worst part that they changed was Liao Tingyan calling Sima Zhao Zhao Zhao. If this was an audio podcast, you would see me face slapping myself at this moment, because what was that even about? And why is Sima Zhao all smiley? This is 2025. What the heck is Zhao Zhao? And why? Of all the things you had to change, this Zhao Zhao thing, cutting out all the comedy tracks is fine. Understood. Making female lead a caricature. Understood. Like, they made her hair so long. Like, it went up until her thighs, I think. And it must have been so uncomfortable sitting down. And what they could have done is made it like a dream within a dream instead. She could have had like trouble fiddling with her hair and whatnot, but they just walked past everything, and the only thing that they ever showed was her picking up her dress and waddling around and calling Sima Zhao Zhao Zhao. Like, really? And they changed all of the good parts of the story and made them completely forgettable. An example would be the Hunger Games arena where, Sima Zhao goes and be like, fight till death and I'll give you a flower petal that can instantly increase your cultivation. And the organizers, they were so shrewd. They instantly recognized Liao Tingyan, and they're like, well, we're going to bring out disciples from her sect in order to just see, like, how she would react. And if she would plead with Sima Zhao to sort of spare those lives, and how Sima Zhao would react to her, like, will he agree to it or will he not? And what Liao Tingyan does is the next day, she basically gathers up her bedding, takes her to the arena, and just as it's about to begin, she falls asleep. Because she was kept up the night before by Sima Zhao, who was really annoyed and she's able to sleep so well. And he's like, no, get up and keep me company. And she was basically sleep deprived. So she fell asleep, just as it was starting. And the people, the organizers, they're like, oh my God, she's so cunning because, she's able to avoid responsibility by just falling asleep. So basically, she doesn't have to see her own sect's disciple fighting for their lives and assuming responsibility. And basically, she absolves herself of any kind of guilt over this. And that was something that, it added a layer on top of it, because, even though Liao Tingyan, her actions are like for herself, I'm sleep deprived, I want to sleep, I really want to eat food because, I like the way it fills me up. Her actions are interpreted in different ways by different people. And that sort of gave us more insight into how people perceived her. And the same thing goes when Liao Tingyan, she has her memory vibed, and she meets Sima Zhao and basically runs into her Shifu from the sect, quite coincidentally. He's basically been bullied, and Liao Tingyan stands up for him, and then he recognizes her, and she's like, oh, you're my Shifu. And they basically end up going back to her sect. And there's this whole thing where the elders know who Sima Zhao is, but the youngsters, they don't. And Sima Zhao is basically being treated as this older brother of the Shime, the sect sister who brought along her Dao cultivist partner. And basically he's being treated like Liao Tingyan's husband, her +1, and not like the grandmaster who needs to be revered. And it's such a beautiful scene because Liao Tingyan just lets it go and she relaxes, and Sima Zhao is just indulging her, and he's basically happy seeing her salted fish personality come out and her finally relaxing. And they turn this beautiful scene in the drama into a mockery by having Sima Zhao and Liao Tingyan go to this place where everyone's like a puppet, and they basically have this beauty filter applied to them to make them seem like her Shifu and people that she knew, and basically they're all just like Xi Chenliu's puppets, I think. And I'm just like, why would you do that? It's such a beautiful scene. It's because for once we see them in the domestic form. They're laid back, they're happy, and they're rediscovering themselves and the people around them are like seeing them in a new light, and you just make it so sinister. And what was the whole point of this anyways? Because there's somebody gunning for Liao Tingyan's life, like there's a threat to her life, a genuine threat to her life, and she's like, oh, let's take a vacation, and Sima Zhao's like, yeah, sure, let's go for a vacation. And I'm just like are you genuinely serious right now? Because you're going on a vacation when your life's under threat. And Sima Zhao, he's injured, right? He cannot protect Liao Tingyan in the same capacity that he could previously. And he's basically taken out his Hushin, his heart bone, to make a protective form of anklet for Liao Tingyan, and he's very weakened. And even him and Nianjie combined, even with Honglu, could not probably protect Liao Tingyan from all the threats that are around her. And that's exactly what happens. And I'm just like, what was the point in the first place? Like, why do the whole thing? And what was the point of introducing Feng Ji? Like, I don't get the point of his character at all. Like, okay, I've read up to the point where Sima Zhao and Liao Tingyan meet again after, like, Sima Zhao has been reborn as this human prince and Liao Tingyan is basically like the devil queen. Up until that point, I do not remember a Feng Ji being mentioned at all. Like, in passing, maybe, but as a major character, no. And this guy, he's been putting Liao Tingyan's life in danger since the beginning, just for the sake of having her memories revived and basically regaining her form as like Ayan, I think. And I'm just like, why are you even letting this person be around you in the first place? Because even if Liao Tingyan, you know, she's lost her memories, she's reliant on the people in this new setting, in the demon realm, and she's taken them as her family, as her friends, yes, I get it. But Liao Tingyan sort of knew from the beginning that this guy's projecting her previous self onto the person that she's now. And even then, she lets this guy be around her. She let him do the things that put her in immediate danger. And even then, she let him go. Like, that guy suffered no consequences for his actions. If anything, he was the reason why Liao Tingyan ended up stabbing Sima Zhao and reduced his already short lifespan into like 5-6 weeks or months or something like that. And he still got to walk away like this very tortured hero, because Liao Tingyan is like, oh no, don't, just let him go. He's just being used by the bad people. Like, he's still a good guy. And like, no, he's not. He's brain dead. And probably Ayan would be regretting saving him at this point, because she's like, I should have just let him die back then. It was of all of the headache that he's caused her. And he's the whole reason why she had the whole demon, what do you call it? Demon chi problem. And she had to suffer with having it merge with the function fire and basically lead her to die eventually. Like, this guy was the whole reason why she perished, and he's still there. Like, he's allowed to waltz into her mansion, he's allowed to be all macho man in front of her, whereas Liao Tingyan is very like, oh, making moony sad eyes at Sima Zhao, but like choosing Feng Ji over him. And then Sima Zhao is all sad and like angsty, and I'm like, am I reading a Wattpad version of the novel? I'm very confused, because what is even happening right now? Is this a fanfic or is it the original novel? Because I remember from like my memory, nothing like this happening. Like, Sima Zhao and Liao Tingyan's reunion was quite anticlimactic. And it didn't take very long for Liao Tingyan to sort of ease back into her life. And basically the life was like anecdotes. And I would have been fine watching it, because this very non-stressful thing that they did in the novel was very far removed from the usual stressful dog blood plots that you have in like the dramas. And that was something I was really looking forward to. And they changed it completely. Did the production people owe this Feng Ji actor money or something? What was the point? And basically let him get off scot-free after everything that he's done. Not to mention Shi Qianliu dying, but like still getting his final wish. Like, he was still able to do what he set out to do originally. He accomplished his motives. He didn't die in vain. He got what he wanted. He very much accomplished what he set out to do. And at the end of it, Liao Tingyan is looking at him with like sad eyes, like, you know, dad or something. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is this like a fanfic version, like an alternate universe version of the drama? And is the actual episode going to come out later? Am I being punked right now? Like, genuinely, am I on a prank show? Because what was the whole point of it? She's supposed to be a salted fish, somebody who doesn't do anything, to have her play out this whole father-daughter thing with Shi Qian Liu is just a big fat joke in the face of everything that Sima Zhao went through. Because he saw Shi Qian Liu as his father figure, and he basically ruined his life and imprisoned him under the pretense of actually protecting him. And then he got to do it again with Liao Tingyan, completely cancelling out all of the misery that he caused to Sima Zhao, and without any consequences, basically. He died, yes, but was it a death in vain? No. Because like I said, he accomplished what he set out to do. Not to mention, he was very much able to soul cleanse the aunt's memories and have Liao Tingyan doubt Sima Zhao for like another half episode. And they're just wasting time at this point, because so I remember reading that, it was supposed to be 40 episodes and they cut it down to 33, which I think was a very good decision, because if they were going to fill up 40 episodes with this crap, it's better to just cut it down and like cut loose all of the things that bloated the storyline. But then I'm like, you could have just shot it for like 30 episodes and kept it as the original novel, maybe even 28. Even if you wanted to stretch it to 33 episodes, you probably would have done it if you just like shown a little bit of the time in the actual real world. But like, you watered down Sima Zhao, you made Shi Qian Liu much more powerful, and then you never gave any consequences to anybody. And you even got Liao Tingyan play out a father-daughter story with like this guy. And it wasn't really that interesting, because again, besides seeing Sima Zhao mope around, what was the point of it? And not to mention, like, unless they actually say this much time has passed, there's no perception of time. Because I remember reading in the novel that, the whole live stream mirror thing took Sima Zhao half a month or something to do, whereas in the drama it's like he literally just did in like 2 seconds. So that gave you a passage of time that, this is the amount of time that they've spent together, and this is the amount of time that they've spent apart. Whereas over here, there's basically no reflection of like how much time you've spent. That sort of lowers the stake of the drama as a whole, because at a lot of points I don't feel the urgency in the actions of the characters, because whatever they're doing, it's a very, oh yeah, we'll do it sort of thing. They're doing it because they have to do it, but they're not doing it because they're supposed to do it. So there's a purpose behind the actions. No, it's because they're following a script that they have to do it. And honestly, at this point, I'm not criticizing the actors. Because I've seen Arthur Chen in previous dramas, like Lighter and Princess. He played the perfect cold guy who could be caring and who was extremely cold. And that was one of the reasons why I was so happy when he was announced as Sima Zhao. And Wang Yinglu, I've seen that girl in I'm Nobody. Like, she's the epitome of Feng Babao. And that is a really hard character to play. And she aced it. Like, even at the end, when Liao Tingyan is in the real world and she's sitting on the stairs and she's like reflecting on whether it's a dream or whether it's reality, that expression on her face, completely lost, hurt, but also confused. It was perfect. And Gao Han, like, I've seen him Falling Into Your Smile, Love Like the Galaxy. Like, they're good actors and they're very much capable of carrying the storyline, but they're being criminally underutilized, and the whole thing is just set up against them. And there's only so much you can do when your story is in shambles, and the blame lies squarely with the director and the writers. Because as a director, it's your job to ensure you get the best possible outcome, and as writers, you need to make sure that you're giving the best version of the story. And neither of them were up to the par. Like, the abrupt cuts. Like, a lot of times someone's sitting and then they're standing, they're doing something and then they're not doing something, they're standing somewhere and then they're standing somewhere else. Like, I get it, you had to cut down 40 episodes into 33. Abrupt cuts would be there like so many times. You're not even like an A-level production, I think it was like an S-level production, so there's money and you're not probably using it. And not to mention the costumes, like Arthur Chen's wigs. And this guy is so handsome, like he can carry wigs, because when Sima Zhao walks out of the tower for the first time, like his costume, his wig, his styling, impeccable. And then later on, it's like, I don't know what they're doing with it, especially when he's like a human prince. That wig is not doing him any favors. And he's actually very handsome. Like, I think he can carry wigs if done properly, but they didn't. It's like Liu Yuning in the Hero's wig, which was awful, but then Prisoner of Beauty wig was like made for him. And I think it's because he hasn't been in that many historical or like Xinjiang like period dramas as a whole, and he kind of needs a little more experimentation with wigs, I guess. in order to ensure that, he gets the best out that's suited for him. But like, even the costumes, like when he's standing in the arena, his costume has these red things flying behind him, and I'm like, I'm sorry, is it supposed to be like a flamboyant version of Sima Zhao? Because I doubt this person who's very much into wearing black, so that his blood doesn't show up, so people can't see that he's bleeding, because his blood is like a very good medicine that can heal all wounds and like give you extra cultivation and whatnot. And it's being revered by people to the point where they imprison these people and they drain them of their blood, and he does not want people to know that he's bleeding, so he wears black. It conceals the color of the blood. I know he's like flamboyantly dressed now, and are you still Sima Zhao, or are you like a flamboyant Wattpad version of him? Not to mention Wang Yinglu's styling when they're in the Soul Man or the Ling Fu, criminal. Her hair, her dress. I gotta say though, the wedding rings were really pretty though. Gotta give credit where it's due, and the wedding rings were really, really pretty. Like, I didn't expect them to be this good, especially at the end. But yeah, the costumes, no, not at all. And I guess the same goes for the storyline, especially for the last one. Mo Liao Tingyan is like the overpowered demon lady, and the crown prince is like the milky little boy, and she's like, oh, JJ will teach you this and teach you that, and she's basically like living out her fantasies, and they completely watered it down. And I genuinely just didn't feel anything at the end, because I wanted it to get over with, and I was just seeing like, how bad can they mess it up, and they took it a notch further every single time. The ending sort of saved it, I guess, but like not really, because we all knew what was going to happen. And I just wished we could have actually seen a little bit of the real world thing, rather than spending time on like the human world politics and like building it up for like 3 episodes and then just doing away with the toodaloo. Because what happened to these people in Inzhou, Honglu, these people, they were left behind, and they're probably very much alive, and they're devastated now, because the 2 people that were supposed to like counterbalance this world and like protect it and be its rulers basically are gone. It's probably thrown in chaos, and there are riots and people are dying and whatnot, and everything's like swept under the rug and non-consequential basically, because was it a dream, was it reality? We don't know, and we don't care, because these people, they look at each other and it's all happy and well and nice. And okay, I'm complaining a little bit too much, because let's give credits where it's due. I'm actually glad that we actually see them meeting each other, because from the way Sima Zhao, the real life version, is smiling down at Liao Tingyan, I can't remember her human name, the way he's smiling down at her, he definitely remembers something. There's definitely something going on over there, and I'm actually glad that at least we got to see them meet each other, because love game in Eastern fantasy again, I'm looking at you. And not to mention Moon Love is the Korean version. All of them, like, they had the screenshot and they cut it out, so I'm glad at least we got to see that happen in front of us and not in like photographs released later on. So kudos to the team for doing that. But yeah, that didn't really score that many brownie points in my book, because how much disappointment a person can take, especially when it's something that you've been looking forward to for so long. And this is one of the reasons why I haven't been so active in like the last 2.5 months, because there's literally nothing to see. And the entire reason why I started this podcast was because I wanted to talk about stuff that I really liked or I didn't like, but it was something that I really felt strongly about. And I didn't want to do half-hearted episodes where I'm just like talking about things just for the sake of making an episode and like putting it out. I didn't want to make it like a metric. I just wanted to do it because I like doing it. And I like watching this stuff, and I want to talk about it. And in the past couple of months, everything that I watched, I didn't really feel like talking about it. Not even watching it completely. Like, I still haven't finished The Legend of the Female General. Shadow Love is just like, I'm just watching it for the sake of watching it. Like, it's just there on my watch list. And I think the only thing that I'm enjoying at the moment, following it religiously, is Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, Tyrant Chef. And it's surprisingly very good. Like, I didn't expect Lee Min to be that good. Like, I know Yuna is an amazing actress. Like, I've seen her previous work. But Lee Min, he's still a newbie, and he's actually done a terrific job of playing a tyrant. And I really enjoyed the first 4 episodes. And I kind of want to let it build to like episode 6 before I form an opinion, because I do know that it's very easy to sort of fall off a cliff and just dive into nothingness after like first 3-4 episodes, because they've built up a story. Now it's time to tell it. And that is a place where a lot of dramas fail. So I kind of wanted to hit that 6 episode mark before I talk about it. And I think with Shienyu as well, I was hoping to talk about it at like episode 2025, but because it kept disappointing me so much, I was like, if I'm going to rant and nitpick about something and it happens to get better at the end, I'd rather wait and just see. But then episode 30 rolled around and I realized that it's not really gonna get better. So I thought might as well just like finish the last 3 episodes and talk about it as a whole. And that's probably what took me so long, because I just couldn't bring myself to like watch the last couple of episodes until I just did 1.5 and I just like gunned it with a little bit of fast forwarding here and there. And I finished it, which I'm kind of glad and proud of myself. And I think it's the same thing that happened with me with A Dream Within a Dream as well, because it started off so good, then sort of fell in the middle, and then at the end it picked up again, but like it was a mess. And I was so frustrated that I didn't even want to finish it, but then I heard good things about the last couple of episodes and I decided to watch it again, and I was decent, but it wasn't something that I wanted to talk about. But she knew, like, I had been anticipating this from the moment it was announced, and I had been following the updates religiously, and I was honestly devastated when I actually saw the finished product. So I thought, yes, might as well make this my comeback episode, but I think I might just talk about like an American show next, because I just finished all 7 seasons of The Rookie and it's actually very good. Like season 1 to 4 were like very well made, and then it sort of fell off, but I guess it picked up at the end. It just did the 7th season, and season 8 is supposed to come out next year. And I think I don't think I'm going to talk about the entire 7 seasons because that would be like ages, but I'm probably going to talk about Chenford, Lucy Chen and Tim Bradford as a couple, and the way their story progressed over the 7 seasons and how it played out in like the central story, because I really, really like Lucy Chen and I really feel strongly about this character and I couldn't really want to talk about her. But I recently finished Resident Playlist as well, so let's see which one I talk about first, because they're currently airing Chinese and Korean dramas. It's going to be a while before I jump back into them or make an opinion about them, because I kind of want to have them marinate. But I would really like to thank the people that stuck by and are tuning into this episode, and welcome the new listeners. And thank you so much for your comments on Spotify, and thank you so much for your subscription. It means a lot to me, and seeing that gives me motivation to sort of sit and watch new stuff, because I'm excited to share it with you. And I genuinely, truly hope that you have a good time watching the drama and your experience is better than mine. And if you have anything to talk about with me, feel free to reach out on Instagram, on Twitter. My handle is talk_about_drama. Talk About Drama is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Audible, Amazon Podcast, and I think Spotify and YouTube allows you to leave comments. So feel free to reach out and let me know if you have anything you want to talk about this drama. Like, did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you like in the middle, sort of meh? Or did you also think that it was a Wattpad version of the original novel? Because yikes. But thank you so much for hearing me rant about When Destiny Brings the Demon, Shinyu. And I will see you guys in my next episode, which is hopefully going to come soon. Until then, I hope you're having a good day, and ciao.